Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission's regular meeting for July 25th, 2022. This time we'll turn it over to Commissioner Rasmussen for roll call.
Commissioner Britton.
Here.
Commissioner Fisher.
Here.
Chair Frazier.
Here.
Commissioner Knable.
Here.
Commissioner Rasmussen. Here. Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. This time we'll move on to item 3, which is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Wright. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. Item 4 tonight is open forum. This is a chance for anyone who's in the audience here tonight to speak on something that is not on tonight's agenda. So if there's something you'd like to bring to our attention that's not on the agenda tonight, right now is your chance to step to the podium, give us your name and address. So I'll open forum at this time. Seeing nobody, I'll close open forum. Item 5 is Chair's explanation of the hearing process. The Planning Commission is a volunteer advisory group to the City Council. One of the Commission's functions is to hold public hearings and make recommendations on land use and zoning matters. The purpose of these public hearings is to provide an opportunity for each applicant and citizens to present information, ask questions, and express opinions. Since these proceedings are televised and recorded for the public record, anyone wishing to speak must step to the podium and give their name and address before addressing the commission. Staff reports are prepared and provided to the applicant and Planning Commission in advance of the meeting. The first step in the hearing will be for staff to present a summary of the report. The applicant will then have the opportunity to briefly explain the proposal and provide additional information or comments. Anyone wanting to speak in favor or against the proposal will then be heard. Upon completion of the testimony, the hearing will be closed to the public comment. The Planning Commission will then discuss and act on the matter. 2 complete agenda packets are available for viewing on the back table. Please do not remove those items. The City Council will act on these items at their meeting on Wednesday, August 17th, which starts at 7 p.m. And with that, we'll move on to item 6. Item 6.1 is Cottage Grove Logistics Park Building 3, case SP 2022-051 with Emily Schmitz presenting.
Excellent. Just took a minute. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. As indicated, the next item before you this evening is a site plan review application submitted by North Point Development, who you've seen before you in the past. The site located just south of 100th Street, for those of you who may have forgotten over the last handful of months. You may recall the master site plan, which was encompassed about 252 acres, and North Point Development did the master site plan over this entire area, so we could take a look at the development as a whole as they built out, knowing full well that they were going to develop in phases, but we worked through that master site plan process as a whole to ensure the uses, architecture, parking, all of those things on a high level met our minimum standards. So they're before us with each site plan for each phase of their development. We saw phase 1, which was building 1 and building 2 back in April, and they are before us with building 3 this evening. As a part of each site plan, the developer is also proposing a final plat, which plats the lot that encompasses each building. So each building has its own lot. So as you can see, the first lot up here, it's one of them from the first phase. There was a lot here with a building 1 and building 2. Down here is lot 1, block 1 for this 1A phase. So we'll work through that. So the site plan, as I mentioned, we take a look at all the details, the setbacks, the parking, height, landscaping, tree mitigation, all of those things specifically for this particular building. And as we look at building 3, the developer is certainly meeting all of those minimum standards with the setbacks from not only right-of-way but property lines. The height is aligning with the approved height maximum, I believe it's 51 or 52 feet to allow for that extra storage space in the interior of these buildings. Direct directed more towards distribution. The landscape, of course, meeting those minimum standards with an additional, we'll talk more in depth about that, as well as some screening as we move along in the presentation. So landscape, I wanted to hit on, of course, a substantial amount, not only around the building perimeter, but of course around the parking areas and along those property lines as well. We're still working through with the developer as they're working to plant some additional inches and some additional trees to take care of some more mitigation. The way that we're looking at the tree mitigation, we evaluated for the master site plan as a whole, and as the developer is constructing each phase of the development, they are potentially planting some additional inches to take care of some of those. As we get to the built out, maybe at building 9, if there are some inches left, we'll work through paying that mitigation fee at that time. In addition to a substantial amount of landscaping, it's important to mention the screening as well. So as a part of this phase 1A, the developer is constructing an additional portion of sound wall, which will extend along that west side and the south side of the building. I also kept on here the phase 1, where that sound wall was constructed, which was along the south side of building 1 and then along that west side of building 2. So that sound wall will now continue further down to the south, essentially encompassing that entire west side of the project area. And then, of course, as the developer continues to construct more towards the east, that sound wall will continue to extend along 105th Street as well. Then, of course, I kept the rendering in here. I do recognize that this is about a 5-year out rendering, but it's important to note that that berm that you do see out there that's been constructed as a part of the phase 1 really provides a substantial amount of screening out there. And of course, as those trees and landscaping continue to mature, it will continue to create a wonderful buffer. And finally, I mentioned the architecture. Of course, the developer is ensuring to incorporate those Class 1 materials, including the glazing along the front portions of the building, the entrances, the canopies, and breaking up about every 100 feet of the building, just to make sure that we've got that variation there. And as a part of phase 1, I just wanted to recap and mention, as you see the activity that's happening out there, these were the public improvements that were required as a part of phase 1. So the developer is in fact still working on these over probably maybe the next year or so. You can see their focus, if you drive out there today, is on 105th Street and getting that constructed. The improvements for Ideal Avenue and 100th Street will come over the coming months as they continue to complete phase 1. I want to make very clear there are no additional public improvements that are required as a part of phase 1A. So we made sure that we encompassed all of those to support the master site plan as a part of the first phase. So with that, I will leave the recommendation before you. I know North Point, Mark is in the audience if you have specific questions for North Point. Otherwise, of course, staff is available as well.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? All right, if the applicant would like to approach and add anything additional?
Just a quick comment.
Go ahead and state your name and address for us, please.
I'm Mark Molitzer. I'm with North Point Development, 1495 Heritage Valley Drive, St. Louis, Missouri. Here tonight, Emily and staff do such a wonderful job of putting this presentation together. There's not much to add, but construction is progressing very well on buildings 2 and 3. With approval pending this evening, we will start building 3 shortly thereafter by the commencement date required this construction season, and it'll be following right behind. So leasing activity has been good. We have not signed any leases yet, though. Usually until the roof goes on the first building, we don't get any solid commitments. Because of material procurement issues. The tenants don't believe that we'll actually deliver the building on time until they actually see it. So, which I can't blame them. But with that, I'm just here for questions. So.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Can I ask questions?
Sure.
So, and I'm actually going to hold up on you because as soon as he's done, I'll open it to public comment and then you'll have a chance to answer questions, okay? So any questions from commission? All right, thank you.
Sure.
So at this time, I'm going to open public comment. So if you want to approach, please state your name and address.
My name is Jean Kager, and I live at 7521 110th Street. So I just have general questions, like I can't really read the names of the streets on the maps that we got in the mail. So Building 3, what streets is that on? Is that on 105th at the, okay.
Yep.
So 105th, and then what? No,
Well,
105th.
future Hadley,
the future road that comes, okay.
that will, yep.
Okay, and then, the sound wall, what streets is that on that I will see it from? 100?
105th in Hadley.
Okay, so see, the streets aren't there, that's why I'm confused.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
So it's here, it's on this new street that isn't there yet,
this one.
this one, 105th.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else liking to speak for or against the proposal or add anything additional? Have any questions? All right, at this time, I'll close public hearing. Anything additional from commission? There's no additional discussion. I'd look for a motion.
I move to approve, subject to the conditions stipulated in the staff report.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Britton. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Fisher. Any further discussion on the motion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 7-0. Move on to item 6.2, which is Preserve at Prairie Dunes Comp Plan Amendment, case CP 2022-031, with Mike Rosla presenting.
Good evening, Commissioners and Chair. Tying in front of you is Preserve at Prairie Dunes, Summer Gate Development, Comprehensive Plan Amendment. However, prior to the meeting tonight, we have learned that the project's been canceled. Due to that cancellation, we were requesting this item be tabled indefinitely. We don't want to make any kind of modifications when there's no project at this current time. So requesting the Planning Commission to table this item indefinitely until we know the plan going forward. And that completes my presentation.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Any questions for staff? Commissioner Britton?
Just to clarify that for me, we had a project that came before us that was gonna build something here.
Yep.
Met Council said, if they're gonna build that, this is what we need to have happen. That project that came before us is no longer going forward, therefore we don't need the Met Council's direction at this particular point in time to do anything with it.
Members of the Planning Commission, so the project being kind of canceled at this time was not on part of Met Council, but on part of the developer who chose to withdraw the project at this time based on their working with the landowners and asking for an extension and their agreements between each other. As you know, the market has changed a bit, so there's been concerns about rise in interest rates. We're also seeing cost of materials, as well as trades from roofers to framers. So those industries right now are kind of changing. So a lot of single-family home developers are kind of putting pauses on things. So at this time, they're kind of stepping away. But this developer has chosen to kind of remove their project or cancel it at this time. So we don't know what the future is going to hold, if it potentially could come back or not.
To add on to Director Costello's comment, there is exactly what happened. Also, too, the Met Council is requesting the development that was canceled to downgrade their land use to low density instead of medium density. When doing that, that will restrict the development potential on that parcel in the future. We don't want to remove that at this time unless we have a project to go along with that.
Okay, that's what it sounded like from the staff report, but I wanted to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Director Costello, I guess I'd ask you, do we have to have a public hearing on the motion to table, or is that something we can do?
No, we don't need a public hearing since there's no application to act on.
Okay. So with that then, if there's no more questions for staff, is there a motion?
I'll move to table this indefinitely.
Okay. A motion from Commissioner Britton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Wright. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of tabling indefinitely say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. We'll move on to item 7, which is approval of the Planning Commission minutes from our last meeting on June 27th. If there's no additions or corrections to that, those minutes, I would look for a motion.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Knable. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Wright. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8 is reports. 8.1 is recap of July City Council meetings with Director Costello.
Members of the Planning Commission, before I turn it over to Councilmember Thiede, I just wanted to say that for that last application, my guess, if anything would come before us, we'd put notification out again for those residents who might be here tonight or listening in. So with that, I will turn it over to Councilmember Thiede.
All right. This was July 20th. Oh, yeah, that helps, doesn't it? Couple things that came for you guys is the Dish Wireless CUP got passed. And the Duncan Baskin Robbins, that got passed, the permit and variance. The CBD and cannabis interim ordinance, you've seen a lot of information on TV, different cities and so forth, so we're a little bit ahead of that game too. So that's just to kind of put a moratorium on it so that it kind of freezes it where it is right now to be able to kind of get a hold of what's really going on with it and to take a look at it within the next year. So I think that was pretty much about it. Otherwise, I'll entertain any questions from you guys.
Any questions for the council member? Thank you.
All right.
All right. 8.2 was response to Planning Commission inquiries. It's not showing on the agenda, but I know there was one from last meeting, and I believe Amanda had sent out an email to Commission on the guardrail. So I think that was answered. 8.3, Planning Commission requests. Any requests for this meeting for staff? No? All right, we'll move on to item 9, which is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Commissioner Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Knable. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed say nay. Motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned.